Call the CUB Board of Directors meeting to order. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the previous month's minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to approval of vouchers, item 4. Do I hear a motion to approve the vouchers?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to the monthly reports for July. Turn that over to General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our first month in the new fiscal year, and well, we continue to do very well. We are looking forward to our August returns because we think that they're also going to do very well with the heat index that we had. But Dudley, if you'd like to go through any of that.
Sure. Just quick here. Show you the long-term partnership credit for the month was $119,000 for August. What you're looking at is July though, and that puts us at $2.4 million for the since we started that. Hard to believe some distributors have chose not to sign that to date. But here's your degree days.
There's 8 out of the 153 that haven't signed that. So their ratepayers don't participate in any of that. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Here's your degree days, and July wasn't as hot as what you might have expected. I mean, in fact, last year was a lot hotter. So we are down a little bit from last year. August is pretty hot, and as compared to last year. But both departments, this is the first month of the fiscal year. The electric department had a net income of $287,000. The water department had a net income of $40,000. If you look at my forecast over here, we're 16,000 under on the electric, and we're 16,000 over on the water. So I like to say, combine those two, and I'm $205 off. But that there's some bigger numbers missed in the middle. I'll be honest about it. But overall, both departments are solid for the first month, and as Greg said, August should be a pretty good month, and we'll just see what happens. And that's all I've got, unless you got any specific questions.
Any questions? Do you hear a motion to approve the monthly reports?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Project status report, Mr. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're tracking 3 work orders in the electric department, and the first 2 of those really ought to be finished up within the next week or so. We'll have the numbers full on that, and we anticipate to start this South Dock Hollow Road probably within the next couple of weeks. All of that is looking fine. We don't see any roadblocks in any of that. The project in the water department that we're tracking is off of Faust Kearney and Clinton Highway, and that's essentially just started. And that comes from a work order that was approved in March of 2021. Working with TDOT, it's got anything to do with Clinton Highway, apparently has to go through another screening. So that was a pretty a long term in order to get that thing rolling, but it is rolling now, and we look forward to that probably being completed by April of next year. I did want to share with the board and make you aware that, and I think this is a good time to do it, 2 things I've got, is that although this situation has been resolved, we had a situation with TDOT and Blaylock Construction concerning the sanitary sewer conflict going across the new bridge. And apparently the storm drain there, which is 30-inch drain, we had a conflict with the pipe that we have for the sanitary sewer. We changed from a 15-inch PVC to a 16-inch ductile iron pipe, and that threw it off about 2.5 inches from the design. which then threw everybody into a stall when they saw that. So it was a design problem, and it's $33,500 to fix that, to put that in compliance, the sanitary sewer pipe, ductile iron, in relation to that 30-inch storm pipe. Now, design was exactly what it was, and we looked to our design engineer, the firm C2RL, that designed that for us, and they have agreed, because of the good relationship that we have, to pay that $33,500. So essentially, Cub is not going to be out that, but the engineering firm is, and that we resolved that with TDEC. So I just want to let you know, keep you in the loop on that kind of stuff. And also, if I could quickly, and I think this is an appropriate time, because it deals with projects, and these are ongoing projects. We've got two that we're dealing with, the Hollingsworth companies that you're probably familiar with, and that's Aspire Park and the Villages up here off of Miller Road. And I would like to just give you a little sense, because these are very vocal folks, and I like to arm you. The more you're informed, the better you are to respond if you hear anything coming up. Now, for the Aspire Park, and as far as I know, the relationship between the Hollingsworth Group and CUB is great. I mean, there is nothing that I know, there's no red flags anywhere, but I can see that there's a potential for that. On August the 3rd, 2020, now it's over a year ago, we had the initial meeting with Hollingsworth Group on this overlook at Aspire, where they wanted to incorporate the water tank, including painting and an access road, to the way they put it, enhance their user experience. And Mr. Hollingsworth offered to provide a draft MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, to get things started. Now, that was on the 3rd of August. On the 13th, we had a board meeting, so I shared that with the board. I know it's been over a year, it's hard to remember, but I shared with the board my desire to support that project as much as we could, with the stipulation that we would have to include no fault language within that project to protect CUB and our ratepayers. So what I asked for and what you gave me was authorization to proceed with those discussions under that stipulation. 25 days after that meeting, that they sent over the draft MOU, and 18 days after that, we sent back a revision. And I think Vicki and Zach, I think I sent you a copy of that at that time, just to give you a flavor of what I was trying to do. Then you jump 8.5 months later, and there hasn't been any discussion after we sent that back in September of 2020. June the 4th in 2021, they returned the revised revision of that MOU back to us. And then, trying to be timely, Todd worked through that 4th of July weekend to get back a response to them. And there were, which he did, and there were seven iterations back and forth since that July 5th. Then, let me just say that MOU it specifically defines the things that they have to do for electric, water, and sewer, but it does not confer any rights for CUB on that water tank property. And it currently, as it exists right now, it's for discussion purposes only. And what I fear is that with all of the recent activity, after we've gone months and months and months, is that now they're going to look to get something done very quickly. And after, we haven't even agreed, nor have we heard from them on the MOU. I think we heard something this afternoon. It's been, what, 10 days? And
I got another revision back.
we got another revision back, and we'll look at, once we can agree on what's written in this MOU, then we're gonna send it to our attorneys. And apparently they have been conferring with theirs on and off, but we want something that we both agree on, and then I want our attorneys to look at it for protection for us, since we're not attorneys, but we're really close to it. So that's where we are on the Aspire. You know, we're working with Tom Wortham, and he's very good to work with. The villages at Hines Creek, that started over 2 years ago. You may remember, that was May in 2019. We met with, here with J.D. King, and we provided him a cost estimate based on the very preliminary site plan that he had. That was at $198,000. On June the 17th, 2019, we gave him some hand sketches for the vaults. A few days later, we provided him with costs for conduits. So then, nothing for 15 months. Not a word for 15 months. And then, on October 2020, we were contacted by Robert Campbell and Associates because they said they were doing a due diligence report, and we provided them with the same information we gave Mr. King back in May of 2019. Then, nothing for 8 months. And then in June 29th, 2021, a few months ago, our friends, the Copeland brothers, who is a contractor, engineering electrical contractor, who we have a very good relationship with, they show up with plans, and they're ready now to put conduit in. I mean, they're ready to go because they say that it's holding up them putting the roads in, you know. So that's when, and I got ahead of myself on the timing, I'm sorry. That was the 29th of June, and that's when my buddy worked through the holiday weekend to get something back to him because he didn't want to hold the contractor up. So all of this is done without a final plat. And we told them, if it's not the right grade and if it's the conduit's in the wrong place, you're going to have to remove it once the final plat comes in. So they said, well, just come out and inspect it, and we'll move it if we have to. So the first one we went out and inspect, that was in the wrong place, so they had to dig that up and move it. But they're doing that now. I mean, they're in the process of laying that conduit now. So as time goes on, the last thing we did is we told them that the lag time for the transformers that we need to put in there is substantial. We did some bidding for them. We told them, you know, what it would cost, and we would get them, or they could provide them themselves if they were to the spec that we needed. Well, we didn't hear anything, and of course, our contractor, our supplier, only gave us 30 days. So that's gone, and it was about 30% higher than what we gave them back in May 2 years before, because the cost gone up. And now with Katrina, not Ida rather, the hurricane out there, in Louisiana alone, they lost 5,200 transformers. That's not Mississippi, you know, in Alabama. That's just in Louisiana. 2,500 poles went down. So I'm saying that lead time on getting these things is going to be out in the stratosphere, and the cost is going to be out there too. But because of this communication, this activity now, my concern is they're going to come in and say, well, we're ready to go with these transformers, and we're going to tell them it's going to take 6 to 8 months for those things get in. And of course, that's where the squeal is going to happen. I'm saying this not to ask you to remember these facts, although they're all facts, just to give you a sense that we're jumping through hoops in order to provide them timely information. And we even sent them, when we didn't hear from them, Todd sent them a follow-up email, just let you know that time lag on this thing's going south. If you're considering it at all doing something, you need to get that in. Of course, we heard nothing from that either. So from them, we have heard nothing. So there we are, and I just want to let you know that we're always prepared to help them every way we can with that project. But this 2 years and not hearing anything, and then expecting everything to be on the move, they didn't even say anything. They showed up and they're ready now to put conduit in. That's what we're dealing with, and we had to go back and give him what we had all worked on, which they were very instrumental with. We could talk about them with the checklist and the books and say, here's how you gotta do it. We gotta have this, this, and this, and the order that it needs to be done, you know? And so, I say that just to arm you if you say, man, I heard Cub is just dragging their feet up there, you know? Not so at all. Yes, sir, any question?
How many transformers you talking about?
Not, was it 90?
39.
39, that's right.
How many we got in inventory?
Well, we're not using our inventory,
understand.
but what we told them is, and that's where I got the 9 from. What we told them at one time, but that day may have gone by, is to get them started, we would try to help them with 9.
That's, yeah.
With 9, just to get them moving. But if I see that it's going to be months and months before I can get them, I can't let them.
Nine's not gonna help you out if you got 30 or
That's
40
right.
you need, so. That'll get you a part of it lit.
So that's all I have on that.
Any other questions? Let's move on to the next item, approval of, we have approval of purchase orders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got one purchase order to approve. It is for the 15 kV power circuit breaker. We had 2 bidders for ABB and Siemens, and we recommend to the board procuring the low bid of $166,887 with Ruffin and Associates.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seems it's the lowest bid, gets here the fastest. All in favor say aye. Motion approved, and moving to approval of work order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got work order 1299 in the electric department, and that is ongoing. It's a budgetary item. We budgeted this project for $190,000. Final engineering, the cost estimates came in at $211,000. So it's a little higher than what we had budgeted for, but it's going to put and replace about 0.4 miles of 3-phase number 6 copper primary conductor and about 0.4 miles of single-phase number 6 copper primary conductor with this, what we like all aluminum cable, is aerial cable, 1 0, and it's going to go down Richards Drive in Oliver Springs. And part of what this will do, it's going to tie Edmonds Drive into that. It's our ongoing contribution to upgrade conductor throughout our system as we improve our ability and flexibility with FLISR, and also bring all of this line out to the street so we're not in somebody's farm or backyard. And I recommend that the board consider and approve work order 1299 for $211,750.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So approved. So motion.
So moved. I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Work order is approved. Now, any other business, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do, we, on the 23rd of this month, or August rather, we received the results of our safety audit that was conducted on August the 17th. That had over 300 specific compliance tests that were inspected. And while CUB achieved a perfect score last year, we did have one deficiency identified this year. It's in the wastewater treatment plant mechanics or maintenance shop, and it is the pedestal mounted abrasive wheel grinder tongue guard was in excess of 1/4 inch. Now, some of you may remember, and I think Vicky and Zach may remember, this is not the first time we've been gigged on a grinder wheel that was out of compliance. As a matter of fact, I remember it was 2 times in the mechanic shop, because the last time I told them I didn't care if I had to buy a grinder every year. I don't want that thing. But apparently it's migrated over to Greg's shop at the wastewater treatment plant. They gave him that grinder, I guess. And that's our one deficiency that we have. And I assume we'll have one next year before you break out of that too.
It's gonna be in accounting next year.
I hear you. But of course, we're very proud of that, and the audit folks say some very nice things about us, but I want to share that with you. I also want to tell you, we received this afternoon. It's from TVA. TVA has approved, their board has approved this pandemic relief credit. And many of you may remember last year, we had the same thing. What they did is they've extended it another year. This credit will provide what we see is our ability to lower the rates to our ratepayer and also recoup some of the additional costs that we had and received because of what we're doing through this pandemic. Some of the equipment we had to buy, the different hours that we have for our folks. So what we did last year was we took that credit and we split it 50-50, where Cub would retain 50% and we would do the other 50% to our customers. And unless you all disagree, I plan on doing the same thing, and I'll have to sign an agreement with TVA saying that that's what we're going to do. So, any questions on that? If you disagree, let me know. Then, I know you'll all be thrilled to know, and of course we are proud of it. You know, it's nice. We for I don't know how many years in a row we have been certified as the best utility company in Anderson County. So we appreciate that distinction through the Courier, and that will probably require us to buy an ad thanking everybody for their vote. So we look forward to doing that. And I sent you all the article from the Oak Ridger about the struggles those folks are going through on their upgrading, first steps in their upgrading their system. So that's all I have.
Any other questions? Any other comments any board member want to address?
Quick question, did the COVID keep us from sending anybody to Louisiana or Waverly to
No,
support?
what we do is we have contract crews, and part of the contract that we have with them is they can't leave us because we want, if there's an event, we want them here, and they do help us. Mostly they're cutting trees for us. That keeps Lyman from just cutting trees. So what we will do, and what we have done, is we'll release some of those folks. Now that puts us behind on cutting trees, you know, and it also exposes us if we have a major weather event. But there are 25,000, I think, electric personnel that have converged in that area down there that the hurricane hit, and their estimates are that most won't receive power back until the 29th of September is the day that they are hoping that they'll have power restored. I mean, there were 5,200 transformers and what's 2,500? 2,500 poles. Now, a pole takes us about a crew a half a day, so you can see it's just staggering. Plus, they're going to have to get all that. It's not like they've got the poles sitting, you know, ready to go. So we released some of our contract crews in order to help support those folks down there.
Good question. Any other questions, or anybody have any comments? Congratulations on the audit.
Thank you.
And I think that Oak Ridge utility issue is one that's very informative to what we've done here. And it is a cautionary tale of what can happen when the utility is not as progressive and on the vanguard as we have been.
Well, I started writing that forward, and then I felt bad when I got through it because it was so long. But I tried to do it for some of our new members too, to give them a sense of how all of that works. They're in real. In my
got
opinion,
problems.
They got problems.
They got problems.
They really do.
Yeah. Well, with no further business coming before this board, I will adjourn.
Fabulous.